Alright, I decided to videotape it that way if catastrophe strikes, you're gonna witness it. I just received these, which I ordered a while ago, about 2 weeks ago at the current time. 3 weeks ago by the time this video airs. Oh my gosh, they're not exactly what I pictured at all. Uh-oh. Dude, their picture online looked completely different. So these are needle bearings that say they can handle spin up to 16,000 RPMs. But online, the picture, I can't open this bag. The picture showed one end was capped off and that one end was open and one end was sealed. But this is fully open all the way through and it's way, way smaller than I thought. But we can work with it. I can try something. Well, let's go see if this fits the shaft that I have. So I needed a shaft to run all that other stuff. And I have one, which I hope was 5/8. I just looked at my past orders on stuff that I ordered. It's on this. If you guys don't know what this is, I put a 350 Chevy on the back of this. And it was super sketchy. This was the lever to engage it all. Yeah, it had all these belts and stuff to drive it. It was insane. But I think that I have this shaft laying somewhere. If not, I can the other half of the shaft. If not, steal this. But this should fit it. I don't want to force it. I could deburr it. But I think that'll work. So I'm going to look around and see if because it looks like I cut it. See if I have the other half. If not, we'll steal this. I think that's it right there. I just saw something run in there. Maybe it was a leaf. I don't know. But I think this looks like it. It fits. I just ran it on the grinder to deburr the end. And this fits. So, pretty good, I'd say. So it's not tight or anything. I mean, if anything, that could use a little tighter. So we need to get some set collars for this now because I wanted to build, I thought they were capped. So I was gonna, I don't know, thought it would just plug on like this and be not able to go anywhere. So the idea with this is this shaft is going to be mounted. I'm going to build some brackets and everything and weld this to that back plate, the adapter plate. I don't know what should we call it? The adapter plate, back plate, mid plate, I don't know. But anyway, then I'm going to put a piece of metal in here, drill the center out to 5/8 diameter. That's what this is. Slide this on here like this, and that's going to be driven by the one that we put on the crank that you guys saw us do wherever I put it. There it is, driven by this one that'll be on the crank. And then we're going to have to get pretty engineer, I don't know what the word is. We're gonna have to put our thinking caps on and figure out how to find the center of this because I don't have a hole saw that will drill something out that perfect. So, but we're gonna figure that out. And then this will go there on here. So this shaft will be spun at 2 times the rate of the crankshaft, which is where we're gonna get our crank signal. And we have to find a LS computer from a 2006 up. 2006, I would actually say 2007 because I read in 2006 a lot of the models were using late, or what would you say, like 2005 model stuff that carried over. They put it into 2006. 2006 is when they switched reluctor wheels and timing chains to a different style. I have the newer style. I bought all that stuff. So we need, I'm gonna say a 2007 to whatever range LS computer. But it's time to kind of go look at this and see where we're at and the next steps. I've got the timing chain down here. I'm gonna try to pull the chain up, make sure it's actually on all the teeth. So there's that. Then here's the other sprocket. So it is way down here. What I'm thinking right now is to drill a hole in this blue plate of the bell housing and make it so that the shaft inserts through the back. Cause, well, wait a minute. I think I'll have enough room. I think it'll be close, but we can experiment. So now, and I want it off to, no I don't. Okay, I need the reluctor wheel also, because the reluctor wheel has to be able to go behind this sprocket. So I actually want this straight up and down. So I guess what I'm going to do is mark it where I think is center. There's a bug on my neck. Yep. Wow. Messed my mark up. In this ballpark. So I'm gonna drill that hole and then also get this to a 5/8 hole in the center. My goal is to turn this down to fit inside here, and I just eyeballed it. I have no clue if that's actually centered, but I eyeballed it and then wrote this Sharpie on it. But to help me, I clamped this old piece of a brake in my vise. And I'm gonna put the grinder on this, and hopefully it's spinning while I'm grinding it will help me kind of regulate center. I'm thinking, in theory, it should help, but that's a lot of material to grind. I mean, I'm gonna be doing this for like half an hour, but it's what I got. I don't even know how long I've been grinding. It's still a little ways, but I just had my first ever grinder disc blowout. That just blew apart. It's not bad, I've seen a lot worse, but man, I'm sitting here grinding and it just boom. But I mean, I was wearing full protection, glasses and all. So I don't think we can use that. I mean, we might be able to, I should probably just change it though. Yeah, you can see where I was just grinding in one spot too long, just like that, and it just wore it too thin. But we're close. It's about to just go right on like that. See how close that is? A little bit more. That is actually from my friend Sergeant Harris's Evo when we did his brakes in the driveway of my house, probably 5 years ago now. I kept that pin. The back side of this is perfectly flat, and the front has that groove, So we're gonna put this down flat, and then this is cold. I put this in the fridge like a week ago when I did that. So it should. So I'm doing this one-handed. Maybe take two. Here I'm heating it all up with my hands. Fits mint. So there's that. So I'm gonna let that get to room temperature, and hopefully it expands a little bit and gets tight. Or I can just put a tack weld in there right now. So I'm not really sure, but I guess I'll just give it a couple minutes and get up to temperature, see if it holds itself. I just drilled this hole, so the shaft will go through here, and I'll build a build a plate that comes flat, that's perfectly parallel with this beam here, that the shaft will go through, and it'll have that bearing here, and then it'll go over, and another bearing will mount here. So then you can just pull this shaft out the back and take everything out. So that is where we're at, and then we still have to figure out how to actually mount this stuff to the shafts where it'll still be able to possibly come apart. I'm not sure yet. Or just weld it there. But one thing we have to do is time it, as far as I know. We're find top dead for number one, so just all the way up, and then where an LS would be, like where the sensor is at on any of these sprockets, and mimic it. But first we need to just get this stuff in the right area. I started putting, these are from a small block Ford, these spark plugs. I screwed them in just to keep dirt out of the cylinders. I hope no grinding dust and metal has been falling in them, but we're gonna keep at it. There it is. Looks pretty good, I think. I think it's centered pretty good. I mean, know that gap looks big, but on this side, I don't know, guys. I think it's decently centered. So we're gonna drill that hole out to 5/8, which is that shaft. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I've got it centered under this, and I will. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. And I used these bolts to clamp it down, so it should be pretty good. So we're gonna drill this out to 5/8. And there is one 5/8 hole. So we just basically made a ring with a hole in it. Well, I guess a ring is a circle with a hole in it. But now to unbolt this baby and clean it off. I'm not gonna lie, it does not look completely centered. So I just built this test. I drilled a hole in this box, put the shaft through it, put this little, wow, already looks off. But what I'm gonna do is put the Sharpie on it, and then, yeah, if it's perfect, it'll be a perfect circle. If it's not, it might wander. Oh man, I gotta keep it in the same spot. I don't know what I'm doing. Now maybe I'll try it over here. Oh my gosh. You know what? In my mind, this was like a really good idea. Well, I don't know. I tried multiple spots and now it's not. Jeez, dude, that's off. Man, I don't know. I mean, do I just use it? The chain will get loose and tight, loose and tight, loose and tight, so it could just throw the chain right off. I need a lathe. I need to sell this F100 and buy a lathe with the money, because I could really use one. Because to fix this, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna run it right now for the prototype to get everything mocked up. And then maybe later I'll do something about it. I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna mount something to this that this slides into, that's that thick and that fits it that good. And I was just thinking, if I could get a piece of metal that thick, like a nut, and then drill it out so that it could press into it, and that would give a fairly good mounting surface and location for that. So I went to Lowe's and found a pair of fairly large nuts that I got in my hand right now. Never mind, got one. But I'm gonna drill that out so it fits and then weld it in there. Good news is it's a 3/16. I just test fit it. 3/16 is like a perfect press fit. It's tight. Bad news is I also don't have a 3/16 drill bit. This goes to 3/16 right there, but you can see how small of a actual drill surface that is, and we need to get through this whole nut. I can flip it around and drill from the other side, but we'll still have a ledge in there. So unless I order a 3/16 drill bit, which could take days, and just, I mean, that would be the right way to do it. Or I could use this. This is like a drill bit kind of, and it'll go in there and I can like chip away at the center and kind of get it accurate. So we might try that with one of them, and if I can make it work on this one, I'll try the other one. If I totally butcher it, we're just gonna order a 3/16 drill bit and have to wait to do this for even longer. But good news is I've found all this pipe laying around for the coolant in the back. I know this seems like small coolant, but I'm thinking that these are different banks. Like this side is separate than that one, so I'll have dual radiators. Like this side goes and gets cooled, comes back, and then this side gets cooled. So we're gonna drill this baby out. I decided after like 60 seconds of drilling it with that thing to just order the 13/16 drill bit. Got on Amazon, getting ready to order it. It says that I have already purchased one, and I think I bought one like 4 years ago when I put new spring perches on an SN95 8.8 to put under the blue fairing when I had leaf springs. So I'm walking right now to where I think it might be. Okay, it is exactly 44 minutes later. I recorded this at 6:10 and it is 6:54 when I finally found this. So that means today I have spent about 2 hours looking for parts. When I was looking for the truck's engine mount, which was in a bucket underneath all that stuff, and now this. I seriously need larger stuff. Like this is my toolbox and it's just full of crap. I need a way bigger one. But on the bright side is, besides of all that stuff, we have this. So I don't know what I was doing because it's smaller than I thought it was, but we're gonna drill it. I never understood when someone said right tool for the job, that just makes stuff easier. This drill, I mean, it is not a hammer drill, and it is on the drill function. It is not on the brake. This thing is falling apart now, like it's all twisted and stuff. But it cannot drill this nut. Like, watch. Now it's working great. I never got it to get this far. I'm just gonna leave it record now since this is like giving me luck. I'm gonna burn it. What a pile, dude. I just need it to, it should break my arm before it stops drilling. Like it, I mean, this thing, it's probably junk. It looks like I drilled through, but I didn't. It's not all the way. There's like minuscule burrs in there, and this just, it can't go. The drill broke. It's just trashed. I took the chuck out of it, and I took the battery off, and I almost took it out to the yard and beat it with a sledgehammer, and just repetitively just smashing it with a sledgehammer, and I decided not to because it's the only one I've got. So tried to use this and it also didn't work. But now I've wasted like 3 hours of my life drilling a hole in a nut and looking for a drill bit. Well, it's the next day, and last night when I was laying in bed, I remembered that my older brother had a toolbox in my shop, and in it he said he had a drill, so I went and I found it. And it is making quick work of this, just ridiculously fast. Like, why this thing just works. I ordered a new one of these drills off Amazon for 70 bucks. Yeah, never mind. Now it doesn't work at all. It completely shut off. Oh, I shouldn't have recorded or said anything. Alright, so it's pretty late, and I was cleaning the shop and having a couple cold ones. While I was cleaning, I was like, an idea struck. If I just cut a piece that fits in here, I can measure from any angle the halfway point, put a dot on it, and if I keep doing that from like every angle, mark the center of each side, eventually I'll get the dead nut center. So I just put this piece just right on a piece of metal I have here. I'm gonna cut this out and weld it in here, and then measure a bunch and put it there, and then measure to get center. That's what I'm thinking. Alright, so I got that grinded and in place. Actually fits pretty good. So now the plan is to tack weld it on the other side, because you can see it's just barely thinner on this side. So I'm going to put tack weld in each corner and then measure everywhere like I was talking about, find the direct center of this, drill it out to 5/8, and that should give us the center. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Long story short, I got the holes drilled. It actually is, I think this is 4 days since I tried to drill that first one. So it took me 4 days to drill those holes, those 2 holes. But I got this in here. This is not the right shaft. This is just, it fit in there pretty good, so I mocked it up. But that is kind of what it'll be. And then obviously it'll have the bearings installed. We're about to put those bearings in there. I think we're gonna put the bearings in and put the shaft in so that it aligns them better with one another, because I highly doubt they're, I mean, look at that. So if we melt them or if we destroy these bearings, we'll just have to order more and then replace them whenever that's required to replace them. So I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna press those in real quick, stick this long shaft in here, and then mock the stuff up on it. Oh wait, we gotta drill that hole in the reluctor wheel. I believe that that dot there is in the center. I measured this, it's just over 7.5 inches. So I measured about, or no, 7 inches. Wait a minute. Yeah, I just messed up. Okay, I didn't mess up. So that's just about 3.5 inches from every side. So that dot should be roughly in the middle. But then again, if this turns out anything like any of the other stuff we did, it's going to be completely off. I'm at about, I believe this thing has a 19.2% chance of working. I think if I get it to work, it'll be crazy. But anyway, we're just gonna keep pressing on, drill that hole. Well, I thought I'd run the drill down this one just because I didn't get a chance to actually run the drill bit down and it ripped it off. But I got this one back here, so I'm just gonna see if I can push it in. It went in a little bit so far, but you might need something. A little tap it with this hammer. I don't know. I guess I should get a real hammer. Here's one right there. Big one. Oh. Maybe I'll hit him. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright, I was able to stick a rod through and hit the other one. But I think we'll try to seat this one right here. Look at that. My nuts are the perfect size. Do I have my stuff? I connect the ground. Here's our shaft. Alright. Chain's all messed up. Thinking about putting it in my mouth right there, the sprocket, so I can hold it. Okay. Just for, we're gonna line the arrows up. No real reason. Other than that, we're that good. It's perfectly timed now. Okay, so this one needs our little thing on first. Maybe I should have put some oil on this. I'm just kidding. No! Come on. I gotta oil it. Now I lost the chain. Oh my gosh. I don't really want to talk about it. Just know, mistakes were made. It does not fit. When I test fit it all, I did not weld these in. These big things. Oh my. And this is the important one. This is the crank, which has to be driven at 2 times speed. Well, I'm gonna press on. I don't know. Well, that was like 30 minutes of grinding later. I ground it. I'm just gonna weld a plate on the back side of this. I wish I would have just pushed that out more and did it on both sides. That one's it still needs a lot of work. But here it is. Baby's crying. But we have the timing chain coming off, spinning this shaft. Instead of, if this was your camshaft and this was your crank, which this is our crank, you would have the small gear on the bottom and the big gear down there on your camshaft here. And your cam would spin at half the speed of this. So 2 rotations of this is 1 rotation of this. And then your crank sensor is on your crankshaft. So when it sends a signal for 1 rotation, it actually is 1 rotation. So I have this reversed. So when the computer receives this, it's going to think that 700 RPMs is actually 1400. So it's going to send double the spark. Because with this, every single time the piston comes up, boom, it fires. When on a gas engine, it's every other top dead. So sometimes when it comes up for top dead center, it's not going to fire. But on this time, every single top dead center, it fires. So in theory, all we have to do is get twice the spark out of a LS computer. So that is going to be our first attempt. If this doesn't work, my backup plan is to go and find another one of these engines. So these engines, they're a little difficult to find, but I've found about 4 of them now on Facebook Marketplace, all under $800 with the entire assembly on it. And one of them had the head off, but all the stuff looked good, all the electronics. So absolute worst case scenario, if this does not run, my thing is, because a little backstory on this, or a little information for the car guys, these basically are standalone. It would be like their own computer, or like an old engine that just creates its own spark. It's all built in. It has its own ignition, everything like that. You don't need extra computers and harnesses, none of that. It's all behind that crank or that flywheel, and it goes to a module that's originally right here. So, but to get those parts, these engines are older than me. So I think they quit making them in the 2000s or something. So to find the parts, they're expensive and blah, blah, blah. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so worst case scenario, I will put the factory ignition stuff back on. I'll source it. I will find one that runs, I don't know. And then right there, I'll bolt a Holley Sniper or a carburetor or something and just mix all the air and fuel. Instead of direct port injection, it'll have factory electronics. That's backup plan. But the main plan is what we're going with is to get an LS computer to control it and have an injector at each bung and get all of its signals from here. And then I've got LS coil packs up in the cabinet, up in that cabinet over there. So we're gonna run those, because this engine actually had a coil pack for each cylinder, just like an LS. But I think that's it for tonight. I'm going in pretty soon, and I'm gonna get back to working on this tomorrow. Okay, so to pull the bearings out of this one I can just press it out the back, and then that one right there, I'm gonna have to take this plate out and press it out here, which is actually works out fine, because to do the cooling, we are going to actually hook straps or something to the back of the engine and lift it up so that the engine's now facing the ground. And I'm gonna pour coolant in these ports and see where they go. Because I know I've said this a couple times, but to me, this is all to verify. So to me, it looks like coolant is segregated to each side of the engine. Instead of like a regular car where it can just flow through, It looks like it's almost like a left bank and a right bank. The way that the lower unit brought the coolant in with the passages, and how it has 2 exits and then 2 entrances. So it looks like coolant just got pumped into the engine and forced its way into both coolants at one, or sides at once, and then it exited on its own. Could be wrong, but that's why we're about to test this. So we're just gonna see if I fill this port here and it comes out of that one, then I'll know. Or if it comes out of all of them, I'll know. But if it only comes out of that one, that's good, because honestly, I'd like to run 2 radiators. And I looked at that Rudson, the one on the internet where the guy did it. It looks like he has 2 radiators, and he used ports like these, but they're up front. It's those. He made, looks like coolant come out of those ports and then go to a radiator. But he had adapted something and TIG welded. I think this is aluminum. I think everything on this is aluminum, but we're gonna work with this back thing, and I'll show you where to go. So this rod here, I know it's a 1/2 inch, I think, I don't know. That's what we're gonna use, weld on all this. So time to take this plate off for the first time since we started welding it. I don't know why, but it just seems so awesome. Like just looking at this thing with it off the engine. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. Now it's not as cool. Just kidding. Okay, never mind. I can't show you guys one-handed. It's awesome. Well, I have no idea. I mean, I was gonna say I have no idea this is a good idea, but I feel like it's not a good idea. I mean, I highly doubt that that's rated to hold the weight of an engine, but there's no way. I mean, for me to move that through all of here, get it here, and then move it back in a couple days to do the Crown Vic is annoying, so I'm not gonna. But I don't know. I mean, if I break this roof, I'll just cut all these beams and collapse it in on myself. And then hopefully it just won't have to be a problem anymore, because it won't be my problem. But yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. The engine only weighs maybe 300 pounds or so. I'm pretty sure I read that this building, when they built it, said it could handle 120 mile-an-hour winds, and I saw the guys climbing on it. So, whatever math equation that equals, I'm gonna say it can hold a aluminum engine. I'll go slow so we can listen. They know it already. Under it, so if it does collapse, it'll just kill me, and then, like I said, it won't be my problem. Oh, yeah, baby. Okay. I repositioned the engine, and I put a jack under it, so it's got some more stuff helping it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is start with this one here. I think it's kind of high, so we should have a funnel. Oh well. Alright, it's shooting out this. It's leaking everywhere. Just everywhere. No, dog. She's drinking it out of that. Okay, so now she's licking me. Makes it incredibly difficult to stop. Difficult to work with a dog. So that's leaking. And that's leaking. So I'm gonna plug that stuff. Alright, so I've only filled this, and yes, I did spill an ever so slightly amount down in there. So that's not good. But okay, I only added water to this, 2.5 gallons. So the engine holds 2.5 gallons. It filled this center port, filled all of these ports here, and even this one. So, let's see, it was right there. Yeah, I can see it down in there. So that means every single port on this engine is connected. Plus, it is now spewing out here. And like I said, that guy with the Rudson, he had, I don't know, he had ports put right there. So what I'm thinking is, since that does just bolt, I could build a port. Here comes the dog, I have to stand up. She licked me. No, don't drink that. Okay, let me get her out of here real quick. So what I'm thinking is, do the ports up front as the main in and out of coolant. So radiator in, radiator out, or something like that, blah, blah, blah. And the ports back here will be just like a car where you have a heater core. So it just so happens I have this engine here. And so your coolant is normally always up front on a car, but then on the back right here, it's missing it, but it's because I took it off, is a tube that comes out and it looks exactly like this. So, and that goes to your heater core. So then you have, it's essentially a second radiator that's inside your car. Coolant goes into it and then goes back out. And then for these, I'm gonna do it too, so it's right there and it goes over to the head. So it gets better cooling for the engine, helps the engine cool, because 7 and 8 on these engines get hot. But, so what I'm thinking is, I'll do that for this. Since it's all connected, these ports back here, I'll have the coolant flow out into a secondary radiator from the back of the engine. So it'll have a radiator that comes from the back and from the front. So dual radiators. But now I'm gonna drain this water and then fix the engine. Got the engine back down. The next step is to bolt that plate on with the turbo mounted on it, so we can know what space we have, and then to start building those back ports. So it actually worked out perfect, because that tube laying right there is roughly the same exact size as a heater core tube. So essentially, we're actually converting this outboard engine over to a traditional style car truck cooling system with pipes up front and then a radiator, well, a heater core out back. So, which this is actually really good. Like, I feel great that I'm able to do this like this, because I was getting a little concerned with that small diameter pipe being the main source, the feed. But I was like, well, we'll just figure it out. But now it having cooling coming from the front like a regular car, and then also the ability to cool it in the back with a radiator from the back, that's going to be pretty substantial, and we'll definitely be able to keep this engine's temperatures down. So I'm going to put that back plate back on the engine, install the turbo, and then get some pipe, and I'm going to try to clean this water up real quick. So here is the back face of it. This face actually goes up against the back of the engine. But I can just demonstrate and show you what I'm thinking. I drilled this hole out. These ones here that have the white paint on them yet, those are our coolant ports. So this is what I was thinking. I had this stuff left over. I was building like a guy out of these that would be like holding a light bulb, like some art. But I took it apart, and I have stuff like this. So this is obviously the wrong side, but it'll go like this on the other side. So coolant from this will go in, and then this one on one of them, either side, this center fills with water as well. So I think I'm going to allow it to come out as well. So it will come out and go to another one of these ports. And that one will be like an L somehow. But, so I'm gonna drill all these out. I just drilled this one out. I'm gonna drill these out, stick these on the other side, and then weld them there. So, drilling. So here it is. This part here, I just screwed it in there so that welding burrs don't get in the threads of this. But we're gonna weld this side up here. And you can see I pounded it so it's just less than flush. So it's recessed just a little bit. But I don't think I'm gonna weld it on this side because I don't have any way of making this totally flat yet. But so I'm just going to weld on the outside of this. I should probably pull this back out and then grind all this. And then every one of these is going to get welded all the way around. So that's next. I guess I'll take this back off and then grind some of this coating off. So I'm gonna do that, put it back in, and then I'll start recording the welding. I'm gonna wait for it to cool down. It blew through right here where you can see it's kind of built up a little bit right there. So this stuff is, these here are really short. They're only in there like a thread or two each. So I should have maybe bought slightly longer ones. Oh well, it's fine. But yeah, we're just gonna do a little weld, let it cool, do a little more. And then for this one, we're gonna have, I bought quite a bit of stuff. We're gonna have a 90 here, have it come over to this, like here, except it'll be like that. And then we're gonna have a 90, another 90 right here. They're gonna come out. There'll be a 90 right here. It'll come up to one of these like this, and then the port will be right here. So these three ports will all be connected. But I hope I have one of these. I just bought two of these because I thought I might need them, so hopefully I got that. Just returned from Lowe's with a bag of some more parts. So I'm gonna time lapse me, maybe not time lapse, I don't know. But I'm gonna build this next part. So pardon the noise of the fan. I usually turn it off, but last video, I was reading one of the comments and one of you guys was like, I like how he's complaining about how it's hot and there's a fan that's off behind him. I turned it off so that you guys don't hear it in the background, but I guess I'm just leaving it on now. Oh man, I was just building this off camera. Okay, so I just gotta get one of these close and close ones that I just threw in the bag. But, oh geez. Yeah, this is basically how I did it. I just started like screwing stuff together like this. And this is where a water temperature sensor is gonna be now. So all that's tight. We'll test fit it. Fits like crap. So this top one, I needed the other. That was too long. I knew it. I actually almost didn't buy the one that I'm holding right now, but I told myself, I was walking out of the aisle, I turned around and I said out loud, like, I'm not coming back. And I went and bought this other piece. This shorter one, that's got just that little extension. Screw it into this one. Nope. See how it fits. Fits like a glove. Let's see. What am I thinking? What looks aesthetically pleasing at this point? Just pound it in there, weld it all up. Get like it being threaded, I can do like mild adjustments so I can make it just perfect. Well, that to me is looking pretty good. I think I'm going to put it there. All right, well, I'm going to pound this in a little bit and then weld it. Well, it's pretty wild looking. And I just did a pretty heavy tack weld, and I forgot I left this in there. So I hope it didn't melt any of the parts of plastic that hold those needle bearings where they are. But I think I'm gonna clean this up and maybe do a little more welding, and it's all hot. Fill that in, maybe. Kind of get this thing to where it's actually almost done, because right now it needs the full thing welded, pieces of metal added, pieces of metal cut. So I might tinker with it some more, or I might just bolt it on and keep making adjustments and modifications, stuff like that. Alright, so this is actually later in the night of the same day that you guys just saw me doing this, but some things at work got changed around, so I planned on doing more of this tomorrow so that the video would be good, but tomorrow I'm going to be gone, so we got to wrap this up right now. So that's why this is kind of ending at a strange spot. So what we did was the cooling. So I found that the whole entire engine of the back of the engine, all the ports are all connected. So I'm pulling coolant out of the back here, and this is going to allow it to cycle from one side through the other and everything like that. And at first, I was worried that any flow patterns of the engine, like one of my friends in the OMC Evinrude engine world sent me this picture, which shows like cold and hot. But so then after I welded this, I was like, oh, I wonder if it'll flow weird, but I'm thinking it'll be okay. I'm thinking we'll be fine. But I started to weld more up on the back. I filled this piece in, and I still have to smooth this all out. And there's a lot more cleaning up to do, but in this episode, you guys saw me do this coolant stuff and get the reluctor wheel. So that is a crankshaft trigger and a camshaft. So we have a crank signal and a cam signal for the computer now, and we have coolant. So really, those are actually super significant things of the build, but they're just roughly done right now. So a lot of fine tuning, and I plan on doing that tomorrow, but unfortunately we just gotta wrap this up where it's at, get this video out, and then next week I'll probably refine some of this, bolt it back on the engine with, I'm thinking I will do a silicone seal on the back and then test it, run a hose through this and make sure it doesn't fail or if it works properly, and then I can pull this off and clean it and redo it all again. But pretty major stuff this episode. So thanks guys for watching and stay tuned.